Hey everyone, my name is Max Aaron James. This review of the movie Mafia Mama, a story by Amanda Sturz, screenplay written by J. Michael Feldman and Debbie John, directed by Catherine Hardwicke. Stars Toni Collette, Monica Bellucci, and Sophia Namvet. It is about an American mother who inherits a mafia empire and is looked to for guidance to lead the family business and continue this family business. And of course, as a front, she has the wine business as well. This is an action comedy that is not horrible, but it could have been much better than what is presented to us. And I think the issue or what its struggle suffered from was the writing. The beginning of the movie really speeds through the introduction of the world, the characters, and really rushes through a lot of moments. And a lot of times I would not really mind it because I like to get to the actual story, but scenes here, a lot of moments here felt so brief. It felt like we were being rushed into the fun part, or what maybe they consider to be what really matters. So I do appreciate that it did hurry us to this point, and that was within 5 to 10 minutes. But once it got there, it felt as if they were not sure what to do with the story, what to do with the characters, what to do with this world that they've built up within 5 to 7 minutes. And we hit a wall. Now, it is based on a story by Amanda Sturz, and her story, the story itself, is very interesting with a lot of critical moments and very interesting elements, something I would want to watch, a story I would even be willing to read. But I think it suffers with the screenwriters because it has these moments, and to get from one critical or climactic scene to the next, you have these what feel like montages because the scenes are so short. You have 30-second clips of one moment, people are talking for a minute, then you cut to another scene that lasts maybe another minute, and then you have these comedic elements or comedic moments that are shoehorned in at times, and it kind of takes me out of it. It feels like these moments are put in for the sake of having comedy, to remind you it is an action comedy, and without it, it feels pretty boring when it does calm down and people are talking. It feels that the dialogue is definitely for the sake of just setting up for what's going to happen next, instead of feeling that the characters are making these own choices or own decisions that lead them into future events. Toni Collette and Monica Bellucci did fine. I think they did really good with their character. I think Toni Collette as the lead did very well. I believe she worked as best as she could with what was given to her, because this movie does feel very dry, and it lacks a lot of the energy that you could tell it was trying to pull out of the characters, out of the story, and the energy that it was trying to give to the audience. But you did not feel it. But you did feel and notice that it was trying to get there, which was maybe worse. And you have your local band who practices in their garage singing a cover of Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. You have them sing in the beginning, you can tell it's not Aerosmith, and then you have an acoustic instrumental at near the end that you can tell is not from the original song. And then there is this scene. Yeah, that scene that is in the trailer that makes this movie seem a little bit interesting and brings intrigue, at least through the trailer for me, is not in a good spot. It's like placed during a chase, and the chase before the scene is people running. These characters that you see standing in a line while something explodes behind them are not in a line prior to the scene, and they are not in a line after the scene. They are running from people shooting at them, and they're trying to escape and survive. So this scene feels very much placed there for the sake of marketing. Or if it was set up for a different scene and they did rewrites or reshoots, then they could have fixed it, because it does stand out. I did enjoy the bodyguards. The bodyguards did have some comedic moments. Some of the funny moments were shown in the trailer, and they were not laugh out loud funny, so when you did see it in the movie, it took you out a bit. But the two actors that play the bodyguards for Toni Collette's character, I like the chemistry they had with one another. I like the chemistry that Bellucci and Collette had with one another, but it felt that the chemistry they had did not match the chemistry they would have with the bodyguards. It felt like two different pairs of characters forced to work together in this movie. There is more blood in this movie than I would thought, and I did like that. I think it added, but at the same time, it felt that they were pulling back on the blood, in the gore, or they did not realize that blood and gore would help the movie, so they maybe added it later on. Either way, I like the blood, and those moments of blood and shootouts were cool. And I think they missed an opportunity to show how badass the bodyguards were, because the bodyguards were in this moment where you would think maybe they would get taken out, but they survive. They end up being the ones to survive. But you don't see that again. And actually, you didn't even see that in the scene. You just hear it. Instead of a comedy mafia flick, I kind of would have much rather be interested in following Colette's character becoming the boss and running the family business. We had a montage of that, just like we had a montage prior as she was adjusting to it. And I felt those moments were more interesting. The scenes that we saw in bits and pieces, and maybe they did not really have a story or did not know how to tell that stuff and make it interesting, and that's why it felt like we were just cutting or rushing from one moment to another. I would have much rather be interested in that, and I think Amanda Sturz maybe should be given another opportunity with better screenwriters to tell a story like this, a mafia story maybe. Then you have Sophia Navet, who plays the best friend to Colette's character, and her humor felt a bit forced in the beginning, and they tried to make her the comedic relief, the funny friend in the movie, and I was not feeling it at first, but eventually she grew on me, and I did enjoy seeing her on screen. She was good comic relief, and I think she was more interesting when on screen and more entertaining than everyone else when she was up in front and center. I will say overall this movie suffers from not being confident in the direction it was going or in the story it was telling. And I do not know if it is just the screenwriters to blame or director as well, or maybe even Amanda Sturz. But it suffers from not committing to its identity. And I think that's what led to a dry, energy lacking film that I will not remember. It's not bad. Anyway, what did you think of the movie? Have you heard of it? Do you consider watching the movie, especially during this weekend when Renfield and Pope's Exorcist are also coming out? I have not seen those two movies at the time of this recording, but I think those movies seem a bit more interesting and maybe more entertaining than Mafia Mama. Until next time, y'all take care of each other, check up on one another, check up on yourself, and remember, potential has no limit.